So, Pia, do you want to start and tell us a bit more who you are and what company you're working for?
Thank you. So my name is Pia Berglund. I head regulatory and public affairs at Einride. And hopefully now you see our biggest innovation. It's been named one of the most important innovation by Times magazines in the world. We were founded 2016, so not that long time ago, by some great engineers. And I think engineering will be important to solve decarbonization. And basically, they said, if we take automation, electrification, and digitalization at once and try to disrupt the industry of logistics, what would that give us? And this is what it would look like. This is an autonomous, cabinless, electric, heavy-duty vehicle. And is this science fiction, you might ask? No. Next week, we're starting operations together with a customer in the US. We do have operation in Sweden. But since we're also created to decarbonize the sector from its core, and as with data-driven decision-making, we are scaling with manned electric vehicles. And this might not seem difficult either, but actually it is, because the vehicles wasn't there when we started. We assembled them in Gothenburg. We thought, how difficult can it be with some great engineers? Bought some batteries and some steel and put them together, start working, because I think that's our task, and that's what we were created, to push the sector ahead of us. If someone says it's a problem or difficult, let's go there. There's something there to find. And I will stop now to let the Paris speak. And we launched here in the UK, April last year, a few blocks down from here. Very happy. We always launch with customers. So we are not a company that just goes somewhere and trying to start from the beginning. We grow with our customers, and we started. But we will also continue and stay in the UK because we think UK is a great market for electrifying the transport system.
Yeah, and I love that you have found the problem and then just jumped on it straight away. And it's worthwhile just pausing there. So this is completely electric.
Electric, autonomous, and connected. So it's all part of a big fleet where you have manned electric vehicles. We own charging stations. We build the grids. So we sell transport as a service to our customers. So we are full stop shop, basically, as Spotify is. You can come to us and we will solve your problems. We will tell you where to decarbonize, where to start, where to grow. And we will always start small. And I think that's the key to decarbonization. Start small, start somewhere, take a step today, take a step tomorrow. That's the only way to solve this big task ahead of us.
No, it really looks like science fiction. So impressive that it's for real. No, yeah. And Per, do you want to give an introduction to you as well and what you do?
Absolutely. So I'm Per Tunell. I'm responsible for sustainability and business development in Wallenius. And Wallenius is a shipping company which have like 90 years of entrepreneurship and innovation, and it's totally family-owned business. We build our businesses on partnership. I think that's super important to be able to extract the full potential around. I mean, we cannot do everything. We think it's through partnership. I think we are unlocking a lot of potential. You can now see a picture on the background. I hope, yes. And shipping is. I just start with talking a little bit about shipping. It takes about 90% of the global freight goes on the water. So it's a big industry, and it's super efficient to transport things on the ocean. But it comes with a lot of challenges as well. It stands for about 1 billion tons of CO2, around 3% of the global emissions of CO2. So we have a big challenge. We've been working with this challenge since the mid-90s and really trying to push the agenda. And our vision is leading the way towards truly sustainable shipping. And that has really been the DNA of our company. Taking that in a structured way, breaking it down, we have come to the conclusion that we have 3 different conditions to be able to reach that vision of truly sustainable shipping. One is to reduce the energy consumption. which is, I mean, that's something we're working with daily in the operation and design. One is to utilize the energy that is around the vessel. And that's what you can see behind us, utilizing the wind here. It's not a new concept. We've been doing that for ages. The Viking was good at it. Christopher Columbus was good at it.
Are these the sails then?
These are the sails, exactly. So these are the wing sails that we are now developing. Again, through partnership, this is now when we reach the theoretical conclusion that this is going to be able, we are going to be able to do this. We formed a partnership together with Alfa Laval and set up a company, a joint venture together with them, with the ambition or with the focus on continuing developing these wings and bring that to the market. So that's what we are trying to do right now.
And what's the timeline for this? You will get to your final point, I promise.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the timing for this, we are starting producing the first prototype. That's going to be a land-based prototype. That's going to be up next year. Just to maneuver, just to test the prototype. We are also simultaneously producing the second prototype, full-scale prototype, to be put on board one of the existing vessels. And if you look at the left from your side, that's the kind of a new build project where we can design a vessel purely for sailing or with wind as a main propulsion. That's the time frame for that is we are aiming for a delivery of that kind of vessel for 2027. So next year we're going to have a first prototype up on an existing vessel.
Super exciting. And you had one final point as well.
The final point is alternative fuels. So when we have reduced energy consumption, when we've utilized the energy that is around the vessel, we still need to have some fuel on board. But if you take away, like what we are aiming for is a 90% reduction on a new build, that's what we are aiming for. If you take away 90% of the fuel consumption, then you are enabling the introduction of cleaner fuels. We cannot continue in shipping just using the same amount of energy that we're doing today. We need to reduce the
You understand, Pia?
So if I can add to that, and I used to be in maritime, so this is such a nice thing to hear. And it's also impressive because you're going to do over the seas here. So we're talking overseas shipping. It's not short-term shipping. But I think energy efficiency is important. I mean, transport as a sector has been suffering from low cost, low margin, almost free energy, low cost salaries for drivers. That's out. That's not an issue anymore. So we need to start with energy efficiency. And you talked about partnership, and we can see that our partners is also very often are either our supplier or customer. So Ericsson is one of them. And they have this generic thing of using data could actually make energy efficient by 20% in all sectors. We see it a bit more, like up to 25%. So when we start with the customer, the first thing we do is take out 25% of the transport needs.
Is that by route planning?
By route planning, because if the utilities are more expensive, the truck itself, it's 3 times more expensive. You add charging to that, you cannot drive around empty. So basically, you tell drivers to stop driving. And this is for real. This is, and that's the best. I mean, for everything, for the climate, for the economy, because then you can offer, cost-effective solutions, but not, just driving around waiting for goods to happen. So I think that's really key for all sectors to start with the energy efficiency, and then we can also help the grid system that we had earlier today. Energy we don't need to use, and we are, as I said, also building charging station, and in November we're going to open the biggest one in North America for trucks. It's a giant station, and we are a small company from Stockholm, and we can do this. And it's solar panels, it's battery storage, it's all of those in there that we can leverage the grid, and that's the responsibility we as a transport sector need to take. I believe. So we cannot just sit here around and expect everybody to sort of do their stuff. We need to do ours first. That's the belief we have. And then you can offer a really good quality, resilient, robust service to customers by doing that. You cannot expect others to sort of provide you with that. That's your responsibility to do that with partnerships of energy companies and connectivity companies and all that.
And are we moving fast enough? I mean, you have really thought about new ways to address your transportation. Do you see your partners and also your peers joining as well and focusing more on this, or is it rather difficult to make the change happen?
To your first question, are we moving fast enough? No, we are definitely not. And we heard earlier today about SSAB talking about the steel production in the hard to abate sector. Shipping is also considered being a hard to abate sector. It's not really hard to abate, but it's slow to abate, right? And no, we're not moving fast enough. When we started looking in this direction, like 20 years ago, we were even slower. But I think the last 4 or 5 years, the perception or the society has caught up, and the demand for sustainable solution has increased. And I mean, this kind of sustainability discussion wouldn't be it wouldn't be as much people here 10 years ago. So this has really been brought up on the agenda, and I think the pace is increasing, but we are still not fast enough.
Is that something you share as well?
Yeah, and I think to some extent, I've been in logistics for 32 years. I think we pay too much attention to those who don't want to move. They're going to be around all the time. So let's focus on those that want. I haven't seen that many big companies, going backwards on the climate targets yet. They're still there. They're still persistent. So let's move with them. Let's innovate with them. Let's learn and scale with them. I think that's super important not to get, because otherwise you get, the task is too big if you're going to also convince the ones that doesn't want to move. So I think that's an important task. So
there are not so many companies moving on their targets, but the governments are.
I believe totally. Industries will push governments ahead of them. And to be fair, I do public affairs, as you can see. I meet politicians on a daily basis. So I shouldn't protect them, but I will now because they are there for 4 years, 5 years to be re-elected. We are here for 100 years. We've been around 100 years. We're here to stay. So it's our job. So even if they don't move, continue with your partners, your customers, you move forward one step at a time, one day at a time. That's the only way to get this done. Don't pay too much attention to them, because they also want attention. So just move on. And investors, I can tell you, investors are there. They want to invest in green companies. Your competence, where are you going to get your competence from? I mean, we have lots of people applying to our company, and that's rare in the logistics sector. Our carrier partners, they get more people applying for driving electric trucks than they ever had before.
And also a lot of females, you mentioned before.
It's more female applying to the trucking companies that drive electric. So, I mean, where are you going to get your money, your competence to grow if you don't decarbonize? So for me, I mean, very, very positive, as you can tell.
We like that. Very clear direction as well. Yeah. I'm going to pause for it to see if there are questions from the audience. Oh, we have 2 here. Okay, you want to go first?
Thank you. Being from Gothenburg myself, I'm very interested in the manufacturing and car industry, of course. So I have a really pointed question towards you, Pia. There are a lot of social aspects that has been debated in terms of autonomous vehicles and taking away jobs, etc., from truck drivers. How do you see that kind of happening in the industry with autonomous vehicles and that discussion?
It's a great question. We believe to keep human in the loop, so we would not have this running around by itself. So we would have what we call remote operation, remote centers. So what we are recruiting those people already now, experienced truck driver to be in our remote centers. So they will have better jobs. They can go back to their families during night. So that's part of what we had to do to create better jobs for those people as well. So that's a good question.
So you're reskilling.
Reskilling, absolutely.
Very interesting. I thought there was another question here, right? There. Sorry, I was singling out the wrong person.
Hi, Craig Sumner from Murphy Solution. I think in a complex geopolitical environment now, supply chain disruption is something that's really high on the agenda. What you're dealing with is an autonomous electrified fleet. Considering the sub-threshold threats that we're currently facing, is resilience, you spoke about the ruggedization or something like that. Is resilience an afterthought? Because if something goes wrong, we're going to revert back to the old school way of thinking, and that could be a real disruptor to the industry, I think.
Was it to me? Oh yeah, but I can start and then no, of course. I mean, now you're looking at no, you look before at an autonomous vehicle. That's part of our fleet. We might use it in logistic sites, ports, whatever, where it's suited. And then we have the manned electric. But you should also know all vehicles, and I guess vessels, they are connected. They're super high tech. Aviation, airplanes, everything. So that's of course a very, very important part, making sure it's safe, secure. But I think by being robust, I also mean that you can leverage, your solutions. We would have backup solutions if we run out of whatever electricity, connectivity. We always would have backup solutions because we're here to serve a customer. Transportation from A to B every day. We cannot say, okay, we cannot drive today because the connectivity went down, for example. That's not the case. So we are doing that already now. You have to buffer up with resources to be able to actually deliver your promises to your customer. That's the key, isn't it? So
yeah, I think resilience is part of the game, and that's required by the customers. It's going to be there always, building a robust system. I think that's kind of all these kind of solutions are built based on resilience and a more resilient system.
Yeah, and I would like to add also to this question about competence. I think UK is lacking something about 40,000-50,000 truck drivers. I think US is about 1 million. So, I mean, to continue the way it is, that's not the way forward. So anyhow, we need to change that. We need to create better jobs, green environment. And we have one young woman driving for us in Sweden. Basically, she said, by being connected electric, her stress level went down because there's no way for her to rush to the petrol station. We are scheduled her charging exactly on the minute. You should be there 12:12, and then you're going to have your 30 minutes rest while charging. And her stress level went down. So there's so many benefits, particles, emissions from steering. So I think anyone who drives an electric car privately, you would never turn back. That's the same in heavy duty vehicles.
And I think the question about the autonomous vehicles and how that would affect the workforce and so on, it's kind of defensive as a question, because it's I mean, that would totally stop development if we are kind of, we need to have these workplaces. I think the development will provide better workplaces. The use of people is going to be, I mean, we need people always, but it's going to be better workplaces. That's my conviction. I'm fully convinced of that.
True, we went from like horse and carriage, but
exactly,
people still have jobs in that transportation sector.
And maybe I could add also something that we see where we fit best with autonomous solution is because already the logistics sites are autonomous. Go to a port today, they're totally autonomous. Logistics sites are autonomous, warehouses are autonomous. They don't want to have a driver there. I mean, so we need to connect to that autonomous charging, autonomous loading and unloading. That's where we pay innovation now to solve this. So it's not like we're pretending there's people on the other end of the scale. No, there's no people there either. So we need to find places for those great talent and educate them and train them to be part of the solution rather than the problem.
I thought it was interesting that you said there that it's less energy, because we talk so much about the energy and charging stress now for people that go electric, but you said it was the opposite.
Stress, yes.
Maybe you should talk about more petroleum stress. That should be, Unfortunately, we need to wrap up, but as you know, now you have time to prepare. I still want a song from both of you before I let you go.
We talked about this, but I forgot to do it.
I have an obvious choice. I will go for ABBA, of course. Based on, you should all Google ABBA Voyage and Ocean Bird. You should all Google and you will understand why. And I won't go for SOS. That's not really a song for shipping. And I won't go for Money, but I will go for Ego.
Ego.
Yeah, and you will understand why.
Nice one.
Yeah, and I stick to the ABBA track. We are all winners. So in the end, we will all be winners in this room. I believe that truly.
I would have been surprised if we didn't have an ABBA song. So good that you're covered. Join me in thanking the panel for this session.
Thank you.